been working on AI apps for the past 3 years. Early GPT-3, and I've got to say, I had two things happen this week that completely blew my mind. So let's talk about them. Welcome back to the Idea Supply Chain, where we take a look at where ideas come from and what makes those ideas valuable. This week has been eye-opening for me, and not necessarily in the ways that I expected. The first one, I kind of expected, but not quite to this level. So, if you saw the video I did talking about the new Claude 3.5 Sonnet model, I said, I've seen a lot out there where people can't believe how good it is, and it's twice as fast and 1/5 the cost. Okay, cool. Well, I've been playing with it a lot more this week, and I was able to do something that simply blew my mind. So, if you've watched any of my videos on like economics and specifically the economics of information and kind of figuring out how we value the transmission of information, I've been thinking and writing about this a lot over the past few years. And so I had compiled some writing on it and sent it off to my publisher after a conversation. He's like, well, you know what? This isn't really what I was looking for. Can you get more specific about how you see prices as compressed information? And I was like, sure. And I was going to sit down and start writing, but then I was like, you know what? I actually will just turn on the camera and start talking. And so I did. And I talked for about half an hour. If you know me, I can get long-winded, and this video didn't have to make a ton of sense. I basically just talked through all the aspects I could of what I've been thinking about until I was kind of getting tired and getting ready to join another call, so I had to kind of wrap it up. Well, then I went off and had to do some things, went to a swim meet, came back, and I was like, all right, I've got the transcript here from me just rambling in front of the camera. What can I do with that? I was like, all right, well, I want to get like 1,000 words out of it, so that's like the size of an abstract for a paper. And so I did some prompting using Claude 3.5 Sonnet. And I said, hey, take this transcript and turn it into an abstract for a paper. And then go ahead and write like a thesis statement and a title for the paper. It's my dog, if you hear, crunching on a water bottle in the background, as one does. But so I got that and I started reading it and I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. Okay, Claude, go ahead and outline that paper. And it gave me a really detailed outline. And so I was like, all right, well, let's just keep going with it. Go ahead and write the introduction. Write the next section. When all was said and done, I ended up with a 43-page paper. It took me a total of an hour. Half an hour to record, and then half an hour to like write and then combine the outputs of the prompts. Now, I have to go over the paper in detail. I'm sure it's not perfect, but for someone like me who has a hard time really like sitting down, especially for anything that requires multiple sessions and cranking out work like that, I was able to turn half an hour of talking into a 40-page paper that was not only coherent, it was good. It's certainly like, at reading through it, I was like, yes, this is exactly kind of what I was thinking. And I didn't put it in quite these terms and I didn't spell it out all these different ways. But yeah, this is what I was thinking. And that really got me thinking around the possibilities of what we've got here. Now, the answer isn't to just write as many junk papers as possible and like outsource the thinking, but it really opens up a ton of possibilities for spending all your time thinking and like talking about it and then just ending up with an artifact that instead of having to write the bulk of, suddenly you've just got to do some editing of each section. Have to do some editing of each section. And that was just mind-boggling. So that was the first thing. The second thing was a bit different. So I have a 9-year-old son, and he's been joining me in Build Space this year. He was asking me about learning to code, and I told him about Build Space, and he was like, cool, can I do it? And so I was like, sure. And so he's been doing it with me. And so he put up an idea slide last week that was, he wanted to create a YouTube channel about learning to code and make music videos. He's got a YouTube channel and he does videos for it occasionally. But we started talking about it because this week is the Build a Toy week, where you do kind of something simple that gets you started that you can build off of. And so I decided to set him up on Replit and helped him get to a level where he could write a Hello World like app. Great. Print Hello World. Awesome. And he did that. And then I went off to like go do some other things. And then a few minutes later, he's like, hey, Dad, I made a D&D character generator. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, I opened ChatGPT and I asked it to write some Python code that would create characters for D&D. And let me tell you about something when I was learning how to code. So I went to college and I'd done very little coding before that. Didn't know the concept of like Hello World because I wasn't in that universe. I'd taken books and books. Didn't really have the internet when I first started on computers. And I copied lines and lines of code and like created a little game or whatever. But I didn't do any really serious programming until I got to college and I started learning C. And I remember we had like a full lab period, like an hour-long lab, where we learned how to set up a Linux box. Actually, sorry, Unix. It wasn't even Linux. It was Unix. It was Solaris Unix. I think that's right, Solaris. Anyway, been a while. But we got the computer set up. We got our IDE set up, or, text editors. I remember Emacs. Go Emacs. And we spent pretty much like an entire lab period getting Hello World to work. It wasn't until years after that that I really started to understand like building things, and then years after that for building things for myself. But in 5 minutes, he went from, oh, cool, I can run this code on Replit, to going, oh, hey, I can ask AI to write the code for this program. And that is so much power. And then he blew me away again because this morning he recorded a video for his YouTube channel and went ahead and posted it. And it was him showing how he started with Hello World. And then he went over to ChatGPT and had it create a game, like a text adventure game. And then he went back and started trying to get it to create a song. I've never thought about making a song programmatically. Never even crossed my mind. And his video ended with him kind of struggling to figure out how to get like an MP3 up, like set up to pull into the code for the background music. Um, and so like I watched this video and I was like, "Hey man, come over here. Let's work this out." And so I showed him how to upload like files to Replit and kind of talked about, local versus remote file systems, not in that language necessarily, but I was like, "Hey, just you got to upload the file here so it's able to be like accessible." Taught him a little bit about like what the code was actually doing and what it was looking for. And then like together we created this program that was able to take a background track and like a list of lyrics and then kind of do this randomized picking of lyrics and use text to speech to put it over the background music. Holy shit. That is fucking cool. Never would have thought of it myself. And again, this really gets into so much of what becomes possible with AI. And when we put AI in front of kids and allow them to explore and figure out what is possible, they're going to blow our goddamn minds. Mine already has. Dude is 9. So how can you not be optimistic when that's the future right there? We have the opportunity to raise a generation of superheroes. And I'm going to do my part to try to, give them not only the tools, but the ability to imagine. I'm going to let them start early. Let them start building shit. See what happens. The future is going to be incredible. I, for one, can't wait. That's it for today. Just wanted to share some stories of mind-blowing AI, some optimism, because it's going to be a bright future, and I'm excited. I hope you are too. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.